Right, let's get to the future of Philippe Coutinho now. Could we see him return to the Premier League this month? Well, Rob Dorset joins us live for more on this. Morning to you, Rob. Looking very likely that Coutinho will be leaving Barcelona this month. No doubt, plenty of interest here in the Premier League. But where could he end up?
Well, yeah, we told you, didn't we, yesterday on Sky Sports News that we think there are 6 separate Premier League clubs that are all interested in potentially taking Philippe Coutinho this month. And we told you as well that Aston Villa are definitely one of those 6. Now, a bit of breaking news for you if you like, but we're still checking this one out, so let's not go too strong on it. But Arsenal, Spurs and Newcastle, I've been told this morning, are 3 clubs amongst those 6 that are also interested in Philippe Coutinho. But as I say, we've got to speak to the clubs about those, so we shouldn't go too big on that now. But in terms of Villa's interest in him, I think it underlines their ambition, doesn't it? Both of Steven Gerrard and the owners, Nassif Sawiris and Wes Edens, that they'd even be in the market for somebody like Philippe Coutinho, somebody of his standing. It would be a real coup if Villa managed to get this one over the line ahead of some of the other clubs that are interested in him. I think Steven Gerrard will be trying to use the fact that he knows him. They're quite close. They played together for 2.5 years at Anfield in that Liverpool midfield up until 2018 when Steven Gerrard left. And so he'll hope that that friendship, that closeness, gives him certainly a line of communication with Philippe Coutinho, but also possibly an edge in terms of trying to persuade him to come to Villa Park. Look, remember, Steven Gerrard said before this transfer window opened that there were 1 or 2 targets that he was after, and if they came off, he said the Villa fans would be very, very excited about it. Well, Philippe Coutinho certainly fits that bracket, doesn't he?
Mentioned Coutinho's standing. He joined Barcelona from Liverpool for £146 million back in January 2018. He's also on big wages. I just wonder, Rob, how much of an issue could that be for anyone who wants to sign him?
Well, it could be an issue. I mean, look, I'm aware that Barcelona have got huge financial issues of their own, and Philippe Coutinho isn't part of their plans. So if they can lose his big chunk of the wage bill, I think they would happily do so. He's not part of the first team plans on a regular basis over at the Nou Camp. So they are open to offers, and I think they're preparing to take a big hit financially. But in terms of Villa, look, we have to be realistic. That could be an issue for them. I mean, Coutinho is reportedly on £250,000 a week. That would blow Aston Villa's wage structure right out of the water. Just to put it into context for you, when Jack Grealish left for Manchester City and Villa were trying to persuade him to stay with a new contract, I was told that Villa's offer was about £150,000 a week to Jack Grealish, so potentially £100,000 less per week than Philippe Coutinho is on at Barcelona right now. But look, Villa's bosses aren't naive here. If they didn't think that they could afford it, if they didn't think there was a deal to be done, they wouldn't have approached Barcelona about him in the first place. But I think we have to be realistic. There are other clubs out there who might be able to satisfy Philippe Coutinho's wage demands more than Aston Villa. And my understanding is it's only been a rather tentative approach from Villa at this stage. As much as they're concerned about the wages, they have a real concern about being drawn into a bidding war because of all of the other clubs that are interested in Coutinho, as I understand it. And so I think theirs is a bit of a watching brief, made it clear that they're interested, and they'll see what moves other clubs make before they perhaps go in for the kill themselves.
Yeah, certainly going to be interesting to see how that one develops. Away from Coutinho, but sticking with Villa though, just quickly, it looks like Gerrard is keen on adding to his squad by bringing in a defender. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we told you yesterday that Villa want a left-back and they're looking at a number of options. Well, one of those options I can tell you is Aaron Hickey, the former Hearts defender, of course, a really highly rated 19-year-old Scottish defender. He went to Italy in the summer of 2020 after breaking through at Hearts. He's only played 19 games in Serie A this season, but from left-back, he's already scored 4 goals, so he's a really talented player. But as I say, he's one of a number of left-backs that Aston Villa are looking at. Gerrard knows him well. He impressed him playing for Hearts against Rangers when Gerrard was the Rangers manager, so he knows an awful lot about him. But there may be 1 or 2 other targets that Villa have in mind at left back as well, so that's again a bit of a watching brief for them. I don't think Villa are going to do any business very quickly in the next couple of days, but just a reminder about Coutinho. Kaveh Solokol, our colleague, said yesterday that he expects that to be done pretty quickly. Coutinho could be back as a Premier League player before the weekend, Kaveh says, so watch this space on that one.
Yeah, we will indeed. Rob, good to talk to you. Thank you for now. So yeah, watch this space. It really does look like Coutinho could be on his way back to the Premier League. Rob Dorsett said there, Aston Villa, Arsenal, Spurs, Newcastle, the clubs that he's hearing, although definitely worth reiterating, there's no word from the clubs themselves on this matter. But you guys are in charge. You get to pick what club Coutinho goes to. Mark, which club would make the most sense in terms of a fit for the player?
I think you could make an argument for, like Rob says, 5 or 6 Premier League clubs that would be interested in a player like Philippe Coutinho. He's still only 29 years old, so he's still at a good age, and clearly coming from Barcelona, having played at Bayern Munich and Liverpool, he comes with a good pedigree of playing for big European clubs. He knows what the pressure is like for being right at the top of the game. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this one plays out. This is one of those names that hits the transfer desk and you go, right, let's see what happens here. This is what we want. We want the big names coming to the Premier League, and Coutinho is most certainly one of them. Let's take a look at some of the statistics linked with him, both, first of all, when he was at Liverpool. As you can see there, he's played 152 games, 41 goals at Liverpool in the Premier League and 35 assists. We know he got that huge money move to Barcelona since playing for Liverpool. 144 games, 36 goals and 23 assists. So as you can see, the numbers stack up. There hasn't been a massive discrepancy from when he was at Liverpool to when he moved over to European football. So he's still doing the business, but it's just one of those, which club shouts loudest will probably get their man. We know that money's going to be a big factor, but at the minute, all things seem to be pointing towards Aston Villa. You know Aston Villa very well. Do you think?
I'm so looking forward to this answer.
Do you think this is a possibility?
I'm so looking forward to this answer.
I mean, was I surprised yesterday? Yes. It's a departure, as I said on here yesterday. It would be a departure from Aston Villa's recent strategy in the transfer market. Do Villa want to be shopping at the top table, negotiating with Barcelona for players? Yes, they do. Is it a gamble because he's not played much football? Yes, it is. Did I sit there and watch Philippe Coutinho's compilation on the Sky Sports website yesterday? Yes, I did. He is going to be coming up against Emi Buendia. That is the record signing that Villa paid all the money for in the summer. We've done a comparison between Buendia's statistics this season and Philippe Coutinho. There's a couple of caveats to this, insofar as Coutinho's played far fewer minutes than Emi Buendia. And there's also, you've got to bear in mind the style of football that both sides play. Coutinho is going to be involved a lot more on the ball than perhaps Emi Buendia would be. But you look at the goals, these are all per 90, by the way. Expected assists for Coutinho, much less than Emi Buendia, but you look at his final third passes, all per 90, and his completed dribbles, he outstrips Buendia on that front. It's the off-the-ball statistics that might be a stumbling block, perhaps, in the way Aston Villa play for Philippe Coutinho. Look at the pressures there. Buendia, far greater pressures than Philippe Coutinho per 90 minutes this season. So we know the style of play that Steven Gerrard would like to employ at Aston Villa. Does Philippe Coutinho fit into that style of play? We wait and see. I think, as Rob quite rightly points out, there's going to be a number of clubs that are going to be interested in Philippe Coutinho.
I'm enjoying this breakdown from Dave.
I just wanted to ask you about the wages, though, because Rob mentioned it there. Could they be a problem for Villa, for any of these other clubs?
I think it's a problem for everybody, because Coutinho, you might say, has been a victim of the Barcelona financial mess. They paid well over the odds, I think most people would agree now, for Philippe Coutinho in the first place. Paid him astronomical wages, and unfortunately for him, whatever's happened at Barcelona has not worked out for him. He's gone through a series of managers. Now we're in the financial abyss for Barcelona. According to Joan Laporta, they're back. So maybe they're not in financial abyss. But I think he's probably become a victim of that. Now he would like to get his career back on track. There's the obvious connection with Steven Gerrard. It makes sense in that way. Would he be a success? Is he going to be up to speed? Would it take him 4 months to get back up to speed in the Premier League? Does that make it a worthwhile option if you're paying him all that money? Those are the questions that Villa's transfer committee of Christian Purslow, Johan Lange, Frederick Leth, they'll all be weighing up right now.
Yeah, and Dave, you took us to a moment there. We can all imagine you sitting there watching the highlights reel, trying not to get too carried away. But the question I guess I have is, how exciting is it, the potential to have Coutinho back in the Premier League? And I'm not saying I think this, but is there the potential that he could perhaps be past his best?
I come down to the old saying, and Mark's going to help me finish this. Form is temporary, class is
permanent.
Okay, say no more. And I'm so happy that you actually brought those stats up, because sometimes when you see these narratives and you can see all of the confusion that's happened around Barcelona, we can sit there and say, oh, it's because of Coutinho, it's because of this, it's because of Messi leaving. When you actually saw the stats and the numbers themselves, in the whole mess that Barcelona have been in the last couple of years, his stats have remained consistent. You see the impact that he had at Liverpool, his stats have remained consistent. So when Coutinho is on the field, as long as you can build a team that is going to build around a special player, as we've both just alluded to, who is class, you're going to get numbers, you're going to get stats, and you're going to get impact. And I say it all the time, in world football you can get a load of players that can turn around and come together, but there are a very minute few who are actually can be difference makers. And whether it's the 5 seasons at Liverpool, the 3 seasons at Barcelona, or whatever else, Philippe Coutinho has proven it time after time. You give him the opportunity, he is a difference maker.
That's the thing as well. This whole scenario reminds me of the summer with Ronaldo. Everyone was desperate to see him come back and play in the Premier League. We were desperate to see Gareth Bale come back and play in the Premier League. Gareth Bale perhaps didn't quite work out so well. Ronaldo's definitely got the goals, whether he's worked out for the team. And I think this will be a very similar scenario with Coutinho. Dave, yes or no, will he end up at Villa?
Smile, Dave, and say it well. Say it with your chest.
Don't know.